You know, it's funny. For being such a huge fan of the Final Fantasy series, I've yet to do a single countdown based around this franchise. Well, excluding my Dissidia Duodecim countdowns. I think it's time to change that. And what better topic for a Final Fantasy countdown than one of its most famous elements, besides its characters, bosses, and summons, that being the job classes. Ever since the original game, this gameplay trait has been present in almost every title in this series in order to make every gamer's experience different from others. Some might want to just tear through their opponents and go with warriors and monks, while others might want to play through the game strategically and base their team around mages. In any case, the job classes are a major gameplay aspect in Final Fantasy. And today, I'm going to count down what I believe are the top 10 best job classes in the franchise. Now, the rules. In order to put a certain job class on the list, I must have used them at least once. So no archers because I've yet to play 12, 14, or any of the tactics games. And keep in mind, this is my opinion, so if you prefer any other job classes, don't freak out. And with all that said, let us commence. Starting off this list, we have one of the classics, the Thief class. Now hold your horses, Final Fantasy IX fans. Let me explain why it's only at number 10. Now, like I implied earlier, the Thief class has been present since the very first game, and, for many people, has been a reliable force to have on their team. As for me, well, I only really started using them in the later games in the series. Initially, the only things that thieves were good for were their speed, evasion, accuracy, and their steal ability. What is steal, you ask? Well, if you don't know... However, their physical, defensive, and magic stats were crap back when the series first started, which kind of holds it back at the bottom of the list. However, what actually gets them onto the list is a special ability that was added for thieves in Final Fantasy IX. Basically, the more stealing you do, the greater your attack strength becomes. It's no wonder Final Fantasy IX fans love the Thief class so much, especially Zidane Tribal, the main protagonist of Final Fantasy IX. But there was only one problem. Final Fantasy IX was one of the last Final Fantasy games to feature the Thief class, so while the Thief class can be useful, especially in 9, I can't put it any higher. The White Mage is widely considered to be one of the most famous job classes in the Final Fantasy series. It's been featured in practically every game in the series, and even appeared as a playable character in the Square Enix Mario Sports games. Plus, some of my favorite characters in the series, like Rosa, Garnet, and Yuna, are White Mages. Or, at least partially White Mages. So, what keeps the White Mage at number 9? Well, allow me to elaborate. First off, White Mages are mostly used in the series as healers, with the majority of their magic being based around recovering health, curing status ailments, and even resurrecting other party members, making White Mages the most efficient way to heal your team without wasting tons of money on potions. But the problem is that they're not very good at holding their own ground. Their physical stats are alright, but they can barely take a hit, meaning that being a healer is all they're really good at. And the games that they're able to stand a chance against enemies are when they have a secondary class to assist them. And believe me, I'll get to those classes later. Also, why is it that the White Mage is almost always the character in the party that ends up dying? Minwu, Arya, Aerith... Seriously, these characters die almost as much as Yoshi in Mario hacks. As an absolute staple in not just Final Fantasy, but in RPGs in general, it was inevitable that the warrior was going to be on the list. Back in the day of the NES titles, the warrior was the ultimate key to speedruns. Due to the class's high physical and defensive stats, no major strategies were in need of it. You could just go Leroy Jenkins on every enemy you meet and you'll be absolutely fine. But as time went on, the warrior went through some serious balancing. In the original game, the warrior was rather broken. As said before, his strength was through the roof and he was able to take way too many hits. So when later games came around, he needed to be fixed, and that he was. Really, there's not much else to say for this except...
I am a warrior of light.
You know of the famous phrase, jack of all trades but master of none? Well, a prime example of that would be none other than the Red Mage. Wow, that's 4 classic Final Fantasy classes right off the bat. Retro overkill much? But enough rambling, let's move on to the Red Mage. As I stated before, the red mage has a lot available in his artillery. He can use weapons that warriors use, like swords and axes, but can also learn both black and white magic, making the red mage one of the most versatile classes in the series. However, this comes at a price. They can only learn basic magic and not high-level magic spells like Holy or Meteor, and they can only equip to a certain amount of heavy armor and weapons. Like I said, jack of all trades but master of none. Also, the red mages have a rather interesting ability, Dual Cast. Basically, Dual Cast allows the selected character to cast 2 spells in one turn, which can be quite helpful in some battles when the enemy has a specific elemental weakness. So if you're looking for a challenge, try out the red mage. You won't be disappointed. Coming up next, we have the fabled Dragon Knights known as the Dragoons. No, not that Dragoon! Getting closer. That's more like it. Anyways, as one of the most iconic classes in the Final Fantasy series, Dragoons have become quite popular among the fanbase, and it's not hard to see why. For the most part, their stats are similar to that of the warrior, but Dragons use mostly lances instead of swords. Plus, they are better than the warriors for 2 simple reasons. Jump and Lance It. Jump is, well, as you could guess, a powerful jump attack that can do quite a lot of damage, and Lance It is an attack that allows the Dragoons to drain health and MP from their opponents in order to heal themselves. Let's just say that Lance It has saved me from a few close calls, confirming them on the list. Plus, some of the franchise's best characters are Dragoons. Kain Highwind, Cid Highwind, Kimahri. It's no wonder Dragoon is so popular. Next up, we have one of the most underrated job classes in the series, the Blue Mage, or, as I like to call it, the Mega Man class. I call it this because Blue Mages are based around using spells that previously defeated enemies had used beforehand. For example, say there was an enemy that used a Meteor spell during battle. The Blue Mage, from there on in, could use said Meteor spell. As for stats, they're pretty good. Their physical and defensive stats are better than that of most mages, especially white and red mages, and can actually work well as a physical fighter. But why would you want to do that when you can base them around using enemy-exclusive attacks? Besides, they're much better attack-copying based job classes than Mimes. Ugh, I freaking hate that class! As many of you know, one of the most famous elements in the Final Fantasy series is the summons, all-powerful monsters that can be used to deal tons of damage to enemy lines. So it would be expected that the Summoner class would be on the list. But before we get to the summons, let's talk about the Summoner's other abilities. First off, Summoners are rather versatile, meaning they can learn both black and white magic, which brings up the fact that there are some Summoners who are also part white mage or part black mage, like Yuna, Garnet, and Rydia. Sure, they have some of the lowest physical stats in the tiles they appear in, but their summons are what keep them so high on this list, so we might as well get to those now. Like I said, Summoners have special magic that allow them to use summons and have them fight for the party. While in some games they only appear for a single attack, like in Final Fantasy 6 and 7, other titles like Final Fantasy X have them take over as playable party members, the latter of which is one of the reasons I liked Final Fantasy X. Overall, the Summoners are some of the best classes you can have on your team, but I just have one point. The Summoners kind of remind me of something. They remind me of another RPG based around summoning. No! No more Persona references! I haven't even played the freaking games! Seriously, who hijacked my script and put these in? Now we have one of the rarest job classes in the franchise, but one of the most efficient. The Paladin. Yeah, I saw that one coming. Like I said, the Paladin is actually one of the rarest classes in the series, having appeared only in 4, 9, 11, and 13. But even though it barely appears in the series, it's arguably one of the best. Paladins are known for having both high physical and magical stats, making Paladins a force to be reckoned with, and can also learn white magic, meaning that they can work well as both fighters and healers. But of course, the major reason that Paladins are so popular are because the characters in the series who are Paladins. Most notably, Beatrix from Final Fantasy IX, Snow from Final Fantasy XIII, one of the only good characters in 13, and most notably, Cecil Harvey, the main protagonist of Final Fantasy IV. It's such a shame that Paladins are so uncommon in the series, I hate to see them at the same level of rarity as mimes. Seriously, why did Square Enix make that job class? Yes, you're seeing this right. My second favorite job class in the Final Fantasy series is the Monk class. Shocked? Thought so. Anyways, there are a lot of things I like about this class. Sure, they're the only class in the series who have never been able to use magic in any of the games they appear in, but they have so much going for them that makes up for that. For instance, because they're fist fighters, you don't need to use up tons of money buying equipment or weapons from monks, since they don't need weapons or armor. They can actually put up quite a fight without them. And since they also have tons of health, monks can be considered a rather broken class, and are almost always used for speedruns. Now, I don't like them because of their supposed brokenness. I mostly use them so you don't have to waste tons of money on equipment, which has always been a problem for me when I first played Final Fantasy. That, and I do use them sometimes as my tank. But the question is, what could top this? Ah, screw it, you all probably figured it out by now. Come on, most of you saw this one coming. I mean, how do you go wrong with the Black freaking Mage? He's pretty much considered Final Fantasy's mascot. They've been present in practically every game in the series, and even appeared a lot outside of Final Fantasy. They were in Kingdom Hearts, Legend of Mana, the Square Enix Mario sports games, the official Final Fantasy rock bands named after them. Heck, they were pretty much replicated in the game League of Legends with the character Vigar. Saying that they haven't even been a slight impact on gaming is like saying that Valve can actually count to 3. Granted, in the first Final Fantasy game, Black Mages weren't the best class to use, since their health and defensive stats were extremely low, meaning that they could barely survive a battle. But thankfully, that changed dramatically by Final Fantasy III. Nowadays, Black Mage is one of the most reliable classes to have on your team, being a simple but super effective character. Not to mention, some of the biggest fan favorite characters in Final Fantasy are Black Mages. Rydia, Palom, Lulu, you name it. But let's not forget the crowning appearance of the Black Mages and the main reason they're at number 1. Their appearance in Final Fantasy IX. In Final Fantasy IX, Black Mages aren't just a job class. They're an entire race. They're beings created from mist and produced as weapons of war for Queen Braun, having been influenced by Kuja, the game's main antagonist, to do so. One of these Black Mages happens to be Vivi Ornithir, my favorite character in the game and my favorite Black Mage in the series. But even though they're weapons of war, they still see each other as a family and look out for each other, such as when the Black Waltz tried to kill Vivi and they defended him. In conclusion, the Black Mage job class is awesome. They're extremely useful in battle, and the characters of this class are extremely likable and very memorable. I'm the One-Winged Angel, and I think that Black Mage would be the perfect character to represent Final Fantasy in Super Smash Bros. 4. Make it happen, Namco!